Hello from Piccadilly Circus. I'm Brian, Select Travel Studies Theater Arts Manager. And to all of our friends and clients, theater, faculty, and students who were supposed to come to London this summer, who may be meant to be in London right now, we miss you. And London misses you, and we thought maybe if you were missing London, it would be fun to send you this little video postcard of a man-on-the-ground account of the current state in London and the future of British theater. So we're gonna have a quick look in Soho, over the Covent Garden, and then we get to sit down with our special guest, international theater critic Matt Wolfe. So a quick hi to a comedy about the bank robbery and the Eros statue, and now we'll head up Shaftesbury Avenue into Soho. Now, London went through a pretty serious lockdown with major restrictions on who you could see and where you could go. And that all started to lift around July 4th when bars and restaurants could reopen with safety and social distancing measures. Now, no neighborhood has changed more than Soho. Obviously, all of the little establishments don't have the space to socially distance inside, so they've done this brilliant thing where they pedestrianize the whole neighborhood. Places have pushed out with cafe tables and alfresco dining in a socially distanced way. And then the government chipped in with this Eat Out to Help Out scheme. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, 50% off your meal. It has Soho feeling safe but buzzing once again, and giving Londoners a little taste of normal. I've just cycled into Covent Garden. Now, public transport is open, but it's pretty empty. Most people are still opting to walk places or use their bikes. As you know, London is a great walking city, and we've been really lucky this summer to have some nice weather to be outside. So just off of Seven Dials here, we're approaching the Donmar Warehouse. As you know, one of London's best producing houses, and on August 1st, it was the first place to help bring London theater back to life with its production of Blindness. Blindness is an adaptation by Simon Stevens. It's based off of a Portuguese Nobel Prize winning novel by José Saramago. And now Matt Wolfe is going to give us his thoughts on the play and a little bit about the future of London theater. Matt, it's so nice to have you here today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, it's great to be here.
And some of this audience may remember you from an afternoon tea at the Globe or some chat about all things theater. So we're really curious today about your thoughts on Blindness at the Donmar.
Yeah, well, the extraordinary thing about Blindness is that it happened at all. The press release arrived, I guess, midsummer, totally out of the blue. Nobody thought there was going to be any theater, particularly not at a major indoor venue like the Donmar. That seemed practically impossible because of the climate we inhabit during the COVID era. But the thing about Blindness is that it's an unusual piece of theater. There are no actors present. It's a sound installation. It lasts about 70 minutes. And because there are no actors physically there, it means that the Donmar very cleverly, although they've had to take out a huge chunk of seats to accommodate the current requirements, they can program it 4 times a day as if it were a movie. So if you've got, a show that can hold 50, 55 people times 4, you have roughly one normal Donmar audience in a non-COVID time. So it's a whole new way of experiencing theater. I suspect that people might wonder, is this really a play? Why do we need to go to the theater to see this? But it is. I would say it is.
What kind of precautions did the theater take to keep people socially distant?
Well, from the minute one arrived at the Donmar and I was there for a late afternoon performance, it was very obvious that this was going to be a whole new way of proceeding. First of all, we queued up in front of the theater. There was no sort of going in, milling around in the foyer. So we were outside, it was a very hot day, outside in the middle of Covent Garden until such time as the very capable theater staff, they handled it very well, they opened the doors and they let us all in, socially distanced one from the other, unless you were with your friend who was part of your bubble. And then you were presented with hand sanitizer, which you were required to use. And then if you wanted to use the loo beforehand, then that was a whole procedure, one at a time, queue up, etc. And then you were taken into the auditorium, which had been completely repurposed for the occasion. All the normal seating had been taken out, and there were seats kind of scattered about singly and mostly in pairs, and you sat under this remarkable grid of this lighting grid, waiting for something to happen. Headphones at the ready. Once you put the headphones on, then the play began.
So what's the advantage of seeing something like Blindness and just listening to an audiobook?
Well, I think the thing about Blindness as a theatrical event from the Donmars point of view is very clever. They are testing their capacity to host an audience. So they're generating box office revenue at a time when most other London theaters aren't. They're, getting people through the door 4 times a day. A lot of other theaters aren't getting anyone through the door at all. And it's also enabling the theater, and I think this is very important, we don't know how much longer this is going to go on. So there will come a time when there can be live actors on the stage, but they might still have to socially distance the audience, who knows, in which case they at least have some idea of how it works. The advantage to being there is obviously what theater does. You share the experience, you share the space. Yes, I suppose you could watch it on your computer with headphones hooked up to your computer, but then there would be no sense of, for instance, what happens during these remarkable moments during the piece when all of a sudden the theater turns pitch black. And, your home environment is subject to so many distractions. The thing about the Donmar is they are curating the event for you. So there are lots and lots of moments, for instance, where Julia Stevenson, the remarkable performer whose voice we hear, through the headphones, it seems to be welling up from somewhere deep within you, under the seat, inside your brain, or the other side of the room. Now, if you were doing it yourself at home, I doubt that it would work as well because there are just so many distractions. The doorbell rings, somebody's making loud music. Here, it's a controlled space, and that's what you need.
So the Donmar was the first to get something up and running this summer. Are there other things brewing in London?
Yeah, the interesting thing about London, certainly compared to New York, and I'm a New Yorker, so, I'm a real Broadway baby, and I feel for my beloved New York, but London is ahead of the curve on this, I have to say. There have been a lot of concert musicals. So A Little Night Music, Sondheim's Gloria show, was done in concert in Holland Park for one performance only, in the pouring rain. I was there. It was a full cast of a proper orchestra. The whole thing went on. No intermission, because we don't need intermissions now during COVID, so you just plow right through to the end. Sopping wet, but completely worth it. Jesus Christ Superstar at the Open Air Theatre in Regent's Park, which has already been seen several times in this production in London, outdoors and then indoors at the Barbican. It's back in a socially distanced concert reiteration of the show, very often being done several times nightly, again, so that they can maximize income because they've watched their city capacity go down by about 80%. There's a pub theatre in South London called the Garden at the Eagle, and they did a kind of Victorian-era drag musical called Fanny and Stella, and they're going to be doing a revival in September of the Stephen Schwartz musical Pippin. So that's happening. But I think you've got on the one hand these sort of outdoor musicals as like a thing, but as far as indoors, Blindness is an anomaly. I think once indoor theaters open to actual actors, we're going to see a lot of solo plays, and that is already on the cards. The wonderful Ray Fiennes, major actor, is playing Sir David Hare, the playwright, in a play called Beat the Devil, which is David Hare's own account of his struggle with coronavirus, which, thank heavens, he had and he has come through, and he has documented it in a 50-minute play that Ray Fiennes will do at the Bridge Theatre opening at the end of August. And then the Bridge Theatre for the whole rest of the autumn is going to be doing a whole sequence of monologues. A lot of them the Alan Bennett Talking Heads, but then some of them are new commissions. The National Theatre, Britain's flagship theatre, major building on the South Bank, they have 3 auditoria, and the biggest one, the Olivier, is the one that is, of course, easiest to socially distance, because the bigger the venue, the more easily you can do it. And they are planning, at least at the moment, to reopen at the end of October with a solo play starring Giles Terrera, who won the Olivier Award for playing Aaron Burr in Hamilton. And that this play is sort of a sequel to a play they did earlier this year, also at the National, that starred Rafe Spall. So it's about a character that you hear about in the Rafe Spall play. Now in the Giles Terrera play, you will see the character. and that's a cast of one.
So wonderful, Matt. So obviously we don't know what the future holds or how long this is going to last, but your thoughts for the future of London theatre? It's all going to come back? We're going to survive this thing?
I think we are going to survive. I mean, it's very, very important to remember, and it's not, this is not being glib, that, you know, Shakespeare, the world's greatest writer in English, wrote during a time of perpetual plague. And there are all sorts of theories about, you know, the percentage of the populace in Stratford-upon-Avon, where Shakespeare is from, that were wiped out during Shakespeare's lifetime and, you know, obliterated. And yet, what do we know about Shakespeare and his life and his work? That the work always came back, the theater always came back. His plays were performed, obviously. They didn't sit languishing. They were done. They were done in full air. So theater is very, very, very resilient. The appetite for it amongst theater makers is huge. The appetite for it amongst theater goers is huge. And I think if you can join those two forces, you've got something really powerful, and it's not going to be stopped by a virus.
We thank you so much for your time, and we can't wait to be at the theater again with you sometime soon.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing everyone.
Yes, Matt, thanks for that. There is going to be a triumphant return to London theater. We hope sometime soon. There's going to be a return to international travel. There's going to be a return to study abroad. We can't wait to welcome you back on these shores. And in the meantime, thanks for watching this little postcard from London. We hope you enjoyed it. Most importantly, we hope you stay well and stay healthy. Take care of yourselves and each other. Thanks.